A neighbor has a wife or a girlfriend. I've seen them kiss, hold hands, all of that. During the day, when his wife is at work, I noticed another girl that was coming over during the day. Didn't think anything of it at first. I was minding my business. But their door is like right next to mine, and I see her every day coming over, stay for about an hour or so and leave. So I was like, man, let me do some detective work.
Of course.
I started noticing when she was leaving, she always has a hood on. Always. And she'd scurry down the steps and go straight to her car. Quick, and then leave. He didn't walk with her, nothing. Just show up and then left. The next day, I go outside to my car where I had parked in a handicap. Yes, I know, I shouldn't have. Forgive me. But that's not what this is about. Well, I come downstairs. There's a cop by my car and Greg. And he says to the cop, it's his car, pointing at me. The cop asked if it's mine. I say yes, and the cop writes me a ticket. I give Greg, and Greg gives me the look and just walks off while I'm standing there getting a ticket issued to me. Like, seriously? So I'm sitting there thinking, oh, Gregory, you have no idea what you've just done. So I'm just waiting until I see Greg's wife again. I'm throwing this man under the bus like a mechanic.
Oh my days,
I couldn't wait. So I head to get food that night, and what do you know? Her and I pull up at the same time. Man, life sure is sweet, Greg. I say, hey, you're Greg's wife, right? She says, yes. Why? And I couldn't wait to tell her what I'd plotted. Been planning this all day.
Raw.
I said, I haven't met you yet, but I met Greg and his sister earlier today. She seemed sweet. She said, his sister? I said, yeah, she was up there today. She's been coming a lot lately.
Bruh.
Sibling love, eh?
Bruh.
She said, Greg doesn't have a sister. I said, oh man. Didn't know what else to say, so I just headed upstairs. Enjoying my food while hearing Greg be told to leave. He's gone. My stomach is full and my car is in handicap. What a life.
So my friend has been talking to this guy for a while, and I'm happy she's found that person she likes after a long time. She claims she wants to loyalty test this guy and basically begs me if I can flirt and see how far he's willing to go. So I agreed. However, I originally didn't want to, as I have a really high sex drive, and because we are friends, I know he does too. So we ended up having sex. And it was phenomenal. We've been doing our thing for a while.
Wow.
Me and my friend are complete opposites. She's a very calm romantic with hardly any experience, whilst I'm a freak. With way more experience. Am I the arsehole for letting it go as far as it did, despite the fact that my friend said I should and knew what could happen if we did put things on the table with him?
Am I the arsehole for asking my boyfriend to stop being friends with his girl best friend? Story time. So I know how this sounds, but stick with me. So me and my boyfriend Steve have been going out for about 2 years now. It has all been going absolutely great up until now. So Steve has a best friend who we'll call Amy. Their relationship makes me very, very uncomfortable. About 4 years ago, Steve and Amy actually hooked up. He said it was just a one-time thing and he very quickly realised that they were better off just friends. So he told me this very, very early on in our relationship. He made me feel very well respected. He was very open and honest. He answered any questions I had about it. You know, he had a life before me. He could do what he wants, but I just really, really appreciated him being so open and honest. So one day at the start of our relationship, Steve looked really upset. So, you know, like the supportive girly I am, I was like, hey honey, what's up? And he mentioned that he had spoke to Amy and told her that he was getting serious with someone. Me. And apparently she just burst into tears. Like, chill the fuck out, Amy. This took Steve back a bit. He was like, you good, bro? And anyway, she turned round to him and told him that she was so upset because she always thought that him and her would end up together. Even though Amy had a boyfriend at the time. So Steve and Amy literally weren't anything. They were just friends. Both of them had partners. They both agreed before anything happened as well that, you know, they weren't looking for anything serious in each other. They were just having fun in between relationships. So he felt a little bit blindsided by this information and he didn't speak to Amy for like 6 months. Randomly, on this rando Tuesday, Amy calls Steve. First of all, why is that number not blocked? She calls and is like, Steve, I'm in a bad place. Me and my boyfriend broke up. Yeah, probably because you didn't actually like him, Amy. And she was saying that through this breakup, she had realised that she really missed Steve's friendship. But you do, hon. So Steve comes to me and asks me if I'm comfortable with him meeting up with her. And listen, I'm a cool girlfriend. Do what you want, babe. But I said you need to make it very, very clear to her that you are just going to be friends. I have been with Steve now for 2 years and I met her twice. Anytime I'd invite her out with us, anything in a group, she would always decline. I just didn't really think too much of it, to be fair. However, a little bit suspicious, she would always go to group events when I wasn't there and it was Steve going on his own. So after this initial meet up, Amy would start to call Steve and be like, are you on your own? Is your girlfriend there? Can we meet up? She'd had a bad day at work. She'd be like, I just need some alone time with my bestie Steve. So I finally lost my shit last weekend. So he had posted a picture on his story of him and Amy out for drinks. So just for some context here, I had invited her to 6 different things throughout this year, but she said that she couldn't commit to anything till June 2024 because the schedule just wouldn't allow it. Amy, if Vogue can get 40 of the most booked women in the world to pose for a cover, you can come to one of my drinks. So I decided to raise this with Steve and I was like, it makes me really, really sad that you meet up just you and her. You only ever see each other when I'm not there, and every time I'm away, Amy is suddenly free. And this is when Steve said that I was overreacting. So what do you think I should do here?
Am I wrong for taking the wrong kitten on purpose? I, 31 female, recently went and got a kitten with my husband, 32 male. The seller had 5 identical black kittens, and despite wanting a girl one, they only had a boy one left. 3 girls, 2 boys, ready to collect in 2 weeks. Because it's so hard to purchase cats these days, I decided to settle with the boy and gave a deposit for him. The seller called a week ago saying the cat was available to collect, and when we arrived, all 5 kittens were still there. The seller looked at the genders and handed me a boy, then left the room to go grab some cat food she was going to give us. While she was gone, I got the idea to switch the boy cat with one of the girls, so my husband quickly found a girl one. We put her in the carrier and put the boy back with the rest, and when the seller came back with the food, she didn't realize they were switched. We took the kitten and the food and left without her knowing what we did and left to go back home. A couple of hours later, I got a call from her asking if she gave me a girl cat by mistake. I lied and pretended to check and said he was definitely a boy, and she apologized saying she must have got the genders wrong and told me the buyer wanting a girl was refusing to have the boy cat. I told her I was sorry that happened and reassured her it was an easy mistake to make. I casually mentioned what we did to a coworker last night, telling her I managed to get a girl after switching them, and she wasn't impressed. She said that I shouldn't have switched them and that it was wrong to mess with the seller and buyer like that because I made someone wait 2 weeks for nothing and I made the seller struggle selling it. I told her it was no big deal because the person who wanted the girl cat could look elsewhere, and this way the boy cat can go to a loving home. She still wasn't happy with me, so I told her gender doesn't matter for a cat and that sometimes you have to look out for yourself in life. Today I came home to the office and everyone was acting differently around me, being cold and trying to spend as little time around me as possible. I overheard someone telling a coworker what I did and they seemed really disgusted with me, but I don't understand how doing something so insignificant has made everyone so angry. This woman is beyond, like, how do you not understand? You just said gender doesn't matter. You just said it shouldn't matter. Why did you care so much? You stole, that's theft. I don't know why you thought anyone would be like, oh yeah, good job. Like, no one would ever think that way. I asked my husband if he felt guilty for doing it, and he reassured me that I shouldn't feel bad about it. I looked on the seller's profile and saw that the boy cat had been purchased, so she didn't struggle to sell him. I do feel a bit guilty for switching the cats, and everyone at work seems to be pretty irritated with me, so I feel like maybe I was wrong and I shouldn't have switched them. Am I the asshole for switching the cats on purpose? My boyfriend wants to leave me because I wasn't happy enough about the baby that he didn't want to have. I recently found out I was pregnant. It wasn't planned. I'm only 18 and I was terrified. I'm not ready to be a mom. I really would love to be in the future, but not now. I told my boyfriend and he was in favor of getting an abortion. He said he wasn't ready. I agreed with him but was so scared. I wanted to talk about all of our options, but anytime I would mention adoption or keeping it, he didn't want to hear it. He even said if I kept him, he would try to be in the child's life, but he could not be with me because he would never look at me the same if I decided to inconvenience him by keeping it. He later took that back. This has been the most traumatic experience of my life. I went to the doctor and they took my HGC level and they said it wasn't high enough and it looked like the pregnancy wasn't viable and the baby wasn't healthy. This crushed me. Because even though I didn't think I could be a mom just yet, the fact that my baby wasn't healthy and probably wasn't going to make it hurt me. I cried and cried to my boyfriend. He's not the best with comforting me. He usually just sits in silence until he figures out something to say. I understand that he's doing his best. I was crying to him because I was afraid I wouldn't be able to have children later in life. I asked him, "Do you think I'll ever be able to have babies later?" He said, "I hope so." Then he started talking about the movie Up and how the couple in the movie can't have children. He said, "I wonder if that will be us." That made me feel worse. I just wanted some comfort in that moment. Not that. I said I have to call you back. The next day he texted me saying he wants a paternity test. Girl, what the? He was mad I hung up, I guess. He then called me and went off on me. I don't even remember everything he said, but it was bad. He told me that baby wasn't the mistake, that I was. He said, "F you and the baby." He said that I have nothing good to say about the baby, which isn't true. He told me I'm a horrible person and that he doesn't want to be with me. He said that he would never want me to be the mother of his child. He said he didn't care because the baby is going to die anyway, so f it. It was horrible. Later he called and briefly said sorry, but then just started demanding I tell him when I was going to abort it. Even though I already told him I don't know if the baby is going to survive, I might miscarry. Today, I got my HGC levels back again and it went down. It looks like my baby is going to die soon. He then told me that he doesn't want to be with me because I was not happy enough about the baby and other girls would be grateful to have his baby. Oh my god. This is like a fuckboy in the making. What the? And they say girls are delulu. Hello? He said I did nothing to comfort him and he feels alone with me. He doesn't want to be with me. I'm so traumatized after this whole situation. How do I handle this? This is why it's so important to be very, very picky about who you choose to procreate with, because when does that frontal lobe fully develop? 25.
My ex-wife keeps asking me to be part of her kid's life but won't compensate me for my contributions. How can I get her to stop? She's 29 and I'm 32. My ex-wife and I split last June. The court battle was messy and she ended up taking full custody of our 2 kids. The whole ordeal was getting very drawn out and ridiculous, so I ended up giving her what she wanted. A couple months later, she's blowing up my phone demanding that I still continue to be part of her kids' lives. I told her that since she wanted full custody, she can deal with raising them herself. But the fact that she keeps trying to manipulate me to pull her weight when she legally has full custody feels like a slap in the face. After numerous texts, calls, and even emails, I blocked her on everything. She ended up driving an hour plus to my mother's house to beg her to get me to spend time with the kids, saying stuff like since the kids are young, they need the influence of both parents in their lives. If only she thought about that before getting full custody. She keeps saying that I won't have to contribute financially, which isn't the problem because we both have well-paying jobs, but that she wants me to take them out to eat or something or visit. Like that would even make a difference. It's still work to drive all the way out there to mess around with stuff that isn't even my responsibility anymore. I told her over a phone call that if she wants me to expend that much effort and time when I'm already busy, then she needs to compensate me financially. Like I said, the money isn't the issue here. I just feel like if I'm going to have to play the role of father when I don't even have partial custody, then I shouldn't be doing it for free. It's not my job anymore. That much she's made clear. I'm getting so tired of all the mess and the constant harassment via phone call and text. I just want her to leave me alone. I think she's seriously having trouble living with her decisions. How can I resolve the situation? Legally, it should be resolved, but how can I stop her from trying to manipulate me?
I told my son-in-law that his wife, my daughter, cheated on him. Now everyone hates me. I've been a long-time lurker, never thought I'd need to post anything. But pretty much everyone in my life is telling me I am wrong. I am 55 years old and I've been married for 35 years. I have one child, a daughter who is 32 years old. I will call her Alice, and she has been with John for 10 years, married 4 years. Alice has always wanted children but they held off for a while to focus on their careers, but she recently told us they were going to start trying to get pregnant. I love my daughter and feel I've always been a good father to her, but I admit she and my wife have always had a special bond. This past weekend we went out to dinner with some friends and had a few drinks. When we got home we had a few glasses of wine. I point this out because my wife rarely drinks so she is a lightweight. She was tipsy and we were talking about potentially becoming grandparents and she made a comment about Alice's marriage that caught my attention. She said they've overcome a lot in the marriage, but then stopped herself and didn't continue. This made me curious because they've only been married 4 years and I wasn't aware of any roadblocks they had run into. Not that they share everything with us. I pressed her on what she meant and finally she confessed that 1 year into the marriage my daughter cheated with a coworker. She tearfully confessed this to my wife a week after it happened because she supposedly felt so guilty. She begged her not to say anything and she kept her word until now. I was blown away because I did not think she would ever do something like that. I don't know all the details. She got flirty with a coworker and eventually they slept together once. Then she stopped it and has apparently been faithful ever since. I did feel some slight guilt because I knew my wife would not have told me if she was sober and I wonder if I should not have pressed her on it, but I can't undo what I learned. I should now point out that when I was a lot younger I was with someone who cheated on me. I have zero tolerance for cheaters due to that, so I might be biased. John is also like a son to me and my wife. She did ask me not to say anything and this confused me. When she had said they had overcome a lot and I found out what happened, I had assumed John eventually found out and they worked through it. But no, all she meant was that Alice grew as a person and became a better wife. I didn't push her any further, I let her go to bed. I had not drank as much, I stayed up all night thinking. I decided then and there that either my daughter would have to confess or I would tell John. Not only do I think he has a right to know, but I would never be able to interact with him again in a normal manner knowing the secret. I do love my daughter and I also worry about the potential fallout because she is trying to get pregnant, and what if John finds out after the child is born? I feel like he had a right to know. I would not keep it a secret if I found out John cheated on her. The next day was Sunday and I knew I needed to talk to my daughter. My wife was against this, but I did end up having her come over the next day. It did not go well. First she blew up at her mother for telling me. Then she yelled at me when I told her either she confesses or I am telling John. She said it was none of my business, etc. I disagreed. John is part of the family. She said I would destroy her life if I did this, she'd hate me, etc. She stormed out. Well, I did end up telling John and the fallout is tremendous. John packed his bags and left the home the next day and is apparently refusing to try counseling and intends to pursue divorce. Everyone hates me, my daughter hates me, my wife is also not on my wife. All our family members say I overstepped. I've spoken to some of my friends, and they said I blew up my relationship with my daughter over this. The only one showing me any kindness is John, who thanked me for telling him. My wife isn't on my side and I suspect this is because she was hoping for grandchildren. We both were. I just feel like I didn't blow up their relationship. Alice is the one who cheated and lied. I love her to death and now I wonder if I made the right choice. Should I have just kept this to myself? I have always been friendly with John and we have dinner with them at least once a month, not including holidays or birthdays. I know I could not interact normally around him, and so what should I have done? Ban them both from my home without explanation? Never go to their home again? And if they have children, my wife will definitely want us over there more often, so I don't think I could hide this. I suck at poker, I can't just fake it. So should I have kept quiet? And I guess also, am I wrong for being upset my wife isn't on my side?